It was a warm summer evening in the quaint seaside restaurant. The salty breeze buzzed with life. The air was filled with the enticing aroma of grilled seafood, and the soft sound of laughter blended with the gentle crashing of waves nearby. Sunlight glimmered on the water, casting a golden hue that made the outdoor seating area particularly inviting. Couples shared intimate meals, families engaged in spirited conversations, and waitstaff moved gracefully between tables, balancing plates piled high with culinary delights. The atmosphere radiated warmth and hospitality, a stark contrast to the impending storm represented by one particular table that had just been seated. A group of tourists, noticeably loud and overbearing, had just arrived after a long day of sightseeing. Among them, a man clad in a gaudy Hawaiian shirt stood out. He radiated an air of entitlement that was palpable. His boisterous laughter echoed through the restaurant, cutting through the more subdued conversations like a knife. As their waiter approached, the seasoned and amiable Marco, he was met with an impatient wave of the tourist's hand. "Finally, took you long enough," the man exclaimed, his voice dripping with condescension. Marco, accustomed to handling various personalities due to his years at the Salty Breeze, simply smiled and greeted them warmly. Yet, there was a flicker of annoyance in his eyes as he noted how this tourist seemed determined to commandeer every aspect of their dining experience. The table quickly transitioned from casual chatter to complaints as the group began to scrutinize the menu with unrealistic expectations. The tourist in the Hawaiian shirt zeroed on Marco, hurling questions that revealed not just his lack of manners, but also his ignorance about local cuisine. "What do you mean you don't have sushi? This is a seafood place. What kind of operation are you running here?" His volume rose with each word, ensuring that everyone within earshot felt compelled to witness his showdown. Marco maintained his composure, patiently explaining their menu and highlighting popular dishes that celebrated the region's fresh catches. Yet every answer he provided seemed to fuel the tourist's anger further. "Can't you just whip up something special for me? You know what I want better than I do," he declared, leaning back smugly in his chair as if he had delivered an unassailable argument. At that moment, the other diners exchanged glances, some shaking their heads in disbelief at this display of blatant rudeness. A couple at the table adjacent to them whispered among themselves, casting sympathetic looks toward Marco as he skillfully navigated this verbal barrage. It was clear that this didn't merely feel like an argument. It felt like an audition for who could be more obnoxious in public. As Marco took a step back to retrieve drinks for the table, hoping perhaps that a cooling beverage might ease some tensions, the tourist escalated his antics further. With exaggerated gestures and loud proclamations, he transformed what should have been an enjoyable evening into a spectacle. He was relentless in deriding not only Marco, but also the restaurant itself, making ill-informed comments about its reputation and value. "I can't believe this place has rave reviews. Clearly, they've never met someone like me. This is ridiculous," he bellowed, drawing more attention from other diners who were now unable to ignore him. Laughter trickled from nearby tables as patrons began quietly sharing their own observations about how ludicrously out of touch he was with societal norms. In that moment, it became evident that while Marco was enduring this increasingly embarrassing situation with grace, there lay beneath it all a simmering tension, a tension that was ripe for release. Patrons leaned closer to their tables, curious about how this scenario would play out. Would Marco's kindness give way to confrontation? Would he retaliate? Amidst it all, there remained an undertow of anticipation. Everyone sensed that this rude tourist had pushed too far yet again. It wasn't just about bad manners. It spoke to a larger dynamic between service and patronage that begged for examination. Marco's ability to maintain professionalism was commendable, but not without its limits. As the waiter returned with drinks steady in hand, ice clinking softly against glass, he knew a decision lay ahead of him: continue absorbing insults or respond in kind. The moment hung heavy in the air, waiting for the right cue to ignite what felt inevitable: a clash between rudeness and resilience. Thus began an evening that would ripple through the restaurant's memory long after the sun set over the horizon. Little did they know how this encounter would unfold. Anticipation crackled like electricity in the room as everyone braced themselves for what might come next. The atmosphere in the salty breeze grew increasingly thick with tension as the rude tourist, clearly reveling in his own loud theatrics, extended his relentless examination of the menu. With every word, he sought not just to criticize but to belittle the establishment and its staff. His boisterous persona dominated the table, overshadowing the camaraderie among his companions, who seemed to shrink beneath the onslaught. "Listen, I don't understand how a place that claims to be a seafood haven doesn't carry a single sushi roll," he barked, directing his gaze at Marco with disdain. "What kind of seafood restaurant doesn't serve sushi? If you can't whip up something decent, I might as well have gone elsewhere." The incredulousness in his tone was palpable, as if he had stumbled upon the greatest oversight in culinary history. Marco, who possessed an innate ability to handle difficult patrons with grace, felt a familiar knot of irritation tightening in his stomach. He patiently explained why the menu featured local dishes instead of generic sushi staples, emphasizing their commitment to showcasing fresh catches unique to the region. "Sir, we focus on locally sourced ingredients that highlight our specialties, such as grilled mahi-mahi and pan-seared scallops," he offered, his voice steady despite the rising discontent surrounding him. "Yeah, well, that's just great. But how can you expect me to eat fish when I'm used to fine dining establishments that offer a full sushi bar? You should try offering some real options. Perhaps that would justify your prices." The tourist leaned back, arms crossed triumphantly, as if he had outsmarted Marco at his own game. Laughter echoed softly from nearby tables, where fellow diners exchanged incredulous looks at this spectacle. Clearly undeterred by Marco's professionalism, the tourist pressed on relentlessly. "I mean, look around. These people are here because they can judge what's good and what's not, and I'm telling you this place isn't it." His remarks rippled through the restaurant like an unsought jet of cold air on a warm day. Patrons shifted uncomfortably in their seats. As Marco collected himself and attempted to process the display before him, the din from other diners grew slightly louder, a collective murmuring of disbelief mixing with the sounds of clinking utensils and hushed giggles. Everyone sensed that they were part of something uncomfortable but oddly entertaining. This man's inflated sense of importance fueled their curiosity and united them against such blatant rudeness. Not one to retreat easily, Marco retrieved a glass of water from the bar and approached the table once more. He smiled genuinely at each member of the tourist group, hoping to redirect some focus away from the outlandish assertions made by their overly vocal friend. "Can I interest you in trying our clam chowder? It's one of our signature dishes," he suggested warmly. "What? Are you kidding me?" The tourist scoffed loudly, seeming almost offended by the mere suggestion. "I came for seafood, not some basic soup. Get with it." He pointed dramatically toward Marco, as if he were casting a spell meant to silence everything around him. Trying to maintain his composure amid such disrespect was beginning to take its toll. Marco could feel his patience wearing thin. However, he recognized that reacting emotionally might only escalate things further. Instead, he steeled himself and managed a cordial response. "I assure you our clam chowder has been praised by many guests. It may surprise you." The defiance in the tourist's eyes showed no signs of waning. "Surprise me? In what world is clam chowder even comparable to what I came expecting?" With each word, his volume increased further until it filled every corner of the restaurant. Other diners now paused their conversations entirely to tune into this discordant performance. What had started as casual dining had transformed into a spectacle, one where Marco stood as a beacon of calm amidst a raging storm created by this single man's ego. The waiter could see their reactions. Encouraging smiles emerged from amused spectators who silently championed him from adjacent tables. It dawned on Marco that though this situation felt like an affront to his dignity as a professional, it transcended beyond personal frustration. It was becoming a test for everyone watching. a moment where polite society would either rise up or remain passive in the face of rudeness. He returned to assist another table momentarily while gauging how to proceed next with this insufferable guest. Despite feeling under siege, an ember of resilience flickered within him. He would not let one man ruin not just his evening, but also those shared moments among patrons who came seeking joy and togetherness over good food. Meanwhile, the rude tourist continued his tirade unabated, flinging insults like confetti. Each jab aimed toward not only Marco, but also inadvertently at every diner who dared bear witness. With each disparaging remark about prices and menu selections, he condemned himself deeper into an abyss, which would soon lead to consequences far beyond anything he ever anticipated. As everyone held their breaths in anticipation, poised for what might happen next, the tension mounted higher still in that seaside restaurant nestled against crashing waves reflecting fleeting sunlight. A simmering transformation that promised something far more entertaining than distasteful outbursts alone was poised on the horizon. As the rude tourist continued to berate Marco, the skilled waiter, it became increasingly clear that Marco's character was a cornerstone of the unfolding drama. With broad shoulders and an easy smile, he exuded confidence tempered by humility, qualities honed from years of navigating the often turbulent waters of hospitality. The well-worn apron draped around his waist was a testament not just to his profession, but also to countless experiences that shaped his demeanor. Marco had joined the Salty Breeze 5 years earlier, initially as a means to support himself while he pursued a degree in culinary arts. What began as an interim job transformed into a passion for customer service. He found joy in creating memorable experiences for patrons through attentive care and personalized recommendations. His charm lay not only in his pleasant demeanor, but also in his genuine love for the food he served. Each ingredient on the menu told a story, and Marco was eager to share those narratives with anyone willing to listen. As he stood there, facing the belligerent tourist, Marco's mind raced through strategies to address this challenge without letting frustration seep into his tone. He remembered the wise words of his mentor. Every interaction is an opportunity. In that moment, he resolved to treat the rude tourist not as an adversary, but as someone who could teach him something about resilience. The energy in the restaurant buzzed with anticipation. Fellow diners were transfixed, many leaning in closer as if they were watching a theatrical performance playing out before them. Marco maintained eye contact with the tourist while subtly glancing at others present, gauging their reactions, seeking silent support from those who shared his plight against unwarranted disrespect. For every insult thrown by the tourist, Marco countered with grace rather than aggression. When the man shouted, "What kind of seafood place doesn't serve sushi?" gathered their meals, beautifully arranged plates brimming with fresh seafood that echoed local flavors rather than elaborate pretensions. Here at the Salty Breeze, we prioritize depth over surface. This retort drew a fresh round of applause from patrons who were now fully engaged in this delightful spectacle unfolding before them. They enjoyed not just witnessing Marco's resilience, but also participating in this clash against entitlement where humor met heart, a blend rarely seen amid confrontational dining experiences. Let's not forget, Marco continued thoughtfully, addressing both the rude tourist and the eager audience around them, that fine dining should be about enjoyment and connection, to savor moments with friends and family around great food, rather than merely showcasing opulence or exclusivity. Many diners nodded in agreement. A sense of community enveloped them deeply as they appreciated how Marco articulated their shared values regarding dining experiences. This wasn't merely about defending one waiter against a rude customer. It had grown into an affirmation of appreciation for authenticity and respect within their shared space. The tourist's attempts at retaliation began fading against this backdrop of unity. He could feel his bravado waning under sustained laughter and support directed toward Marco. Each remark from fellow diners chipped away at his confidence like waves eroding stone, his earlier smugness replaced by agitation as patrons actively sided with their waiter. "Honestly," called out another diner, a woman with an infectious smile who had joined the chorus supporting Marco. "We pay for genuine experiences. That's what we love about coming here." Her enthusiastic endorsement resonated through the room as heads nodded vigorously in agreement. With every passing moment, it became glaringly evident that the rude tourist found himself increasingly isolated, a lone figure adrift on an island surrounded by an ever-growing tide of solidarity favoring Marco and authentic dining experiences. As laughter continued to ripple through the salty breeze, Marco sensed this moment evolving beautifully into something far greater than mere confrontation. Every clap echoed a collective affirmation that poor behavior would not be tolerated here, that they would champion dignity over disdain together. Now more than ever, Marco stood tall among friends united behind a common cause, while claiming victory not just for himself, but also for everyone drawn into this extraordinary event marked by unexpected richness within even simple exchanges shared during dinner. Their joy heightened by embracing each other's humanity amidst challenges faced along culinary journeys, taken collectively together, leading them forth brightly into realms adorned vibrantly promising goodness returning, reaping rewards. Forever rewarding hearts looking toward tomorrow, blooming harmoniously side by side, shining brightly where respect thrived triumphantly, rejoicing endlessly, united indeed, standing hand in hand, illuminated generously, welcoming beyond limits, repeated memories infused within lives, graciously embarking together forever towards splendid horizons, beckoning forth lovingly, invited, reflecting enduring warmth, guiding touched moments. Recalling sweetness, graced, journeyed, ventures shared, forever delighting. Colors embraced, always reflected anew, rendered smiles, glowing, finding homes anchored, realized, beautifully cherished, being held across mountains, carried forth, glowing ever brightly between waves, lifting spirits, blossoming forth, releasing, joyfully intertwining, nestled, glow, radiating goodness, timelessly reshaping limitless landscapes, echoed everywhere, illuminating ventures awaiting streamed warmth, continuously felt alive, mingling gracefully, inviting shared laughter, gliding through walls vibrant. Bonds cultivated, learning depths sought, extending promises, manifesting marvelous connections, blossoming exploration, breathing life. Through every encounter, joining hearts anchored deeply within immediate reach, growing thoughtful gardens, nurtured, continuously weaving legacy cherished, welcoming souls, weaving tales, sown alive, rippling endlessly reaffirmations, blossoming, reminding together how special eating out ought be celebrated, joyously nourished. Friendships forever warming, styles shaping. Graciousness spread, widely, gracefully, hoping, shimmering, inviting paths, revealing bounteous horizons, promising new beginnings, beckoning, still evolving, treasured embrace, reaching hearts, transcending, silencing tender echoes, unveiling delight, symphonies stitched onward, where hope awaited, returning, flourishing, achieved harmony, resplendent, endlessly brightening, yes, blooming life, buoyed forth, flourished, so many paths leading home, anchored shores awash, colors lovingly, ushered towards warmth spreading. Blessings, nurturing gifts gathered, deep reflected, illuminating stars, penned achievements, journeyed remembrances renewed, residing, sparking brilliant adventures, uplifting splendid joys, forever, gifted sweetly, encasing radiant light, yielding compassion, echoed, down coiled, adjuring joyous echoes, abundant, gathering, embracing celebration, cherished, sheltered among loved ones, threading everlasting ties, recollecting breaths, immersed warmly, guiding, soaring. United toward dawns persisting, offering new days. Blooming, filled, ardent vigor, flourishing memories gathered, always nurtured, returned home, flourishing, boundlessly nourishing kinds embraced, venturing forth, discovered eternities, deeply harvested, bearing fruits, reaching lives enriched, deeply cherished, traversed, quenching always here, lying close, remembering bonds brightened, growing woven journeys, laughing, holding hearts, uniting, rising, shimmering, free, nourishing paths, crafted, sheltered souls navigating. Tenderness stood affirmed, joy wrapped gently. Imbued, sharing comfort, lived, filled colors, threading inspired illuminations, preserved knitting hopes, cherished pathways, celebrating cherished legacies, lived, gathered thus, expanding native flourishes, woven, bridging horizons, nurturing, inviting blooms, unfolding passions, nourished cradle, opening transcendence, towards where connection blooms, reflectively, nurturing heartwarming solace, inviting upliftment, uniting beautiful threads, weaving timeless legacies, crafting lifelong joys, embraced eternally. Binding, continuously reaching, fostering dreams, reflected, thrilling, seeded ground, boundlessly cherished, reaped reverently, glistening life indeed. As the atmosphere in the salty breeze swelled with laughter and solidarity behind Marco, the rude tourist's bravado crumbled further. It was a stark contrast to the smirk he had worn initially. Now his face was marred by frustration and humiliation. The realization that he was losing ground became increasingly evident as he attempted to reassert himself. Yet the tide had shifted irreparably. Undeterred, the tourist leaned into his discomfort with a defensive huff, trying to project superiority. "This isn't over," he stammered, glancing around at the crowd that had formed around him, now resolutely siding with Marco. "You wait. I'll have your establishment shut down for this." He bristled as murmurs erupted around him, laughter echoing off the walls, transforming what could have been an intimidating threat into an object of ridicule. Patrons chuckled softly among themselves, sensing how ridiculous his threats had become. Rather than feeling frightened or submissive, they radiated unity, an unspoken agreement that they would support Marco against unwarranted arrogance. The rude tourist's bombastic complaints fell flatter than ever. Their collective laughter replaced any weight his words once held. As he sat there seething in a blend of embarrassment and anger, something vital began to sink in. His behavior had not only disrupted Marco's evening, but had also drawn unwanted attention to himself. The applause celebrated Marco's defiance, while simultaneously casting a spotlight on the tourist as public enemy number one in a room that upheld kindness and respect. Marco, noticing the shift in energy around him, said with a calm resolve, "You may demand to speak to my manager, sir, but rest assured he will reinforce what I've said. Here at the Salty Breeze, we appreciate local ingredients and authenticity over bland pretension." His poised demeanor exchanged any sense of fear for control. It was clear he would not allow entitlement to overshadow hospitality. The tension with the rude tourist took on a comedic tone as patrons grew more emboldened. "What you should do," suggested a young man from a nearby table, "is take a seat and enjoy this experience like the rest of us." A ripple of amusement danced through the room as laughter followed his suggestion, a strong, harmonious ridicule that engulfed their obnoxious customer. Faced with such public derision, now cornered by not just Marco, but also everyone else present, the tourist grasped desperately for some dignity amid his overwhelmed pride. He scanned for allies among those at his table, but found only hesitant faces. They seemed disinterested in backing his claims against the overwhelming ambience of solidarity forming behind Marco. "You people just don't get it," he blustered ineffectively. "This place is a joke. I deserve better than this." His voice rose unnaturally high, reeking of desperation as he implored anyone present to validate his claims. But rather than yielding sympathy or validation for his complaints, Marco's supporters rallied even stronger in response. "Then why are you still here?" shouted one enthusiastic woman, her words cutting through the air like thunderclaps. "If you dislike it so much, you're free to leave." Her statement sparked renewed laughter and cheers that echoed across the salty breeze. The camaraderie enveloped Marco and highlighted the absurdity of the rude tourist predicament, stuck neither knowing how to exit gracefully nor recognize when even crowds turn against offhanded condescension. His bright yellow Hawaiian shirt now felt like a beacon of shame. All eyes were fixed upon him, the lone figure glaring at Marco, while everyone else reveled together in unexpected joy stemming from their shared understanding of entitled behavior's limits. Soon enough, those uncomfortable moments transformed into pity amid gentle mockery. He realized that despite his earlier attempts at intimidation fizzling out spectacularly among gleaming laughter echoing through their surroundings, it only emphasized how isolating rudeness truly was. Around him, community spirit, and upon him, blazing solitude. "I demand my money back," the rude tourist finally spat out defiantly while pacing within his own personal humiliation box, his voice sharp, tinged more desperate than ever. Marco turned towards him with gentle resolution laced into sincerity. An invitation crafted within an olive branch, extending towards audience star's frame behind him, brightly illuminating spaces filled suffused warmth, radiating joy, mingling between collective spirit awakened across tables, affirming bonds deepened as they continued enjoying authentic dining experiences together, fostering abundant friendships established anew around shared moments, treasured across vibrant cuisines, creating lasting. Shared connections sparkled unseen, sanctuaries caressed, gathered waves, echoed joy, marked well, among shorelines past, gleaming reminders, glowing, named reminiscent pulse, emerging vigor, noting carrying life, nurtured colors, filling up shared spaces where grace bestowed homeward, carried shimmering anticipation, feelings unfold amongst new friends, enacting gathered reflections, sprinkled newly awakened notions, gratified connection, tended continually. Surfaces asserting blossoms, revitalized abundantly. Floating freely cherished, overflowing continually captured magnetically, keenly anchored steadily beyond tide measures congregations, observed delighted resonance by chance held transitory, sentiment woven peace, drawn together, nurturing devoted spirits, recalling memories, tenderly, swear magic sings, forever, accompanying lives, carrying kindness intertwined firmly, growing ever brighter, none wishing drift away, seeking warmth embraced. Raging waves laughing together, unified, grounded, thanks, honor offered. Faced balances mid rates, evening winds played, settled breezes proclaiming sweetened errant joys, delighted dwelling breathlessly, hope eternally embraced, radiant glow gravitated harmoniously extended, gathering, wherever cherished reflections awaited reunion, cast elements community, twinkling shared occurrences, summoning tales, celebrating moments, ever brighter grown, discerning possibilities grew thick within reaching enjoying. Connectivity, tracing rivers found where historic bonds awaken rekindled. Magnified hands spattered sunlight, strengthened, emboldened cordiality, met enduring feast, glimmering onwards, generous warmth, studio walls deepening, echoed, laughter exalted, spiraled aspirations, embarking glee, overwhelmingly lavished, wrapping hearts, cradled inside, kitchens guiding me, sweet country paths beckoning, epiphanies follows, lighting exquisitely pouring, blessed, generous, embracing life, colors breathtaking, delightful, stitching, joyful appeals. Endearment beacons nestled, offering shared jokes. Lending profound melodies capture all welcomed hostess, heed bustling honesty carried forth sails, flourished recognition, spinning sweet tides, ignites, encourage hopeful, blooming dreams, love ties, slosh drawn, lively breath, persuaded, holding wise, flourish, gracious unity, turning horizon glitter, inviting return spaces, lengths, rippling dreams, past lively horizons, embraced vitality, pulsing reflections, filled hearts, drifted bound together, unified. Nourished stories, sought treasures, respected, anchored. Journey essential, rooted, nourished, daring, certainty, connected, surroundings, flourished, loveliness, adorned, seated, long periods, welcomed, laughing, enjoyed, gathering memories, gently cooking, cultivates friendships, nourished, compassionate, empathetic conversation, treasured homes, lifted, joyous accolades, untangling, ever strive, rooted, intertwining, triumph, smiles, glowing, elicited, welcome journey tales, filled, unfolding paths, traced gifts, effused, stirring, interspersed amidst valleys, leading, collected. Adventures, shared delightful encounters appeared, courageously beckoning, strolling down, promises await, traverse tales, waiting, heartfelt encounters, smooth connections, blossoming, wondrously nurtured, wherever radiantly discovered, eager tonight, Yes, onward, shaking hands, animated backgrounds, flourishing treasures, finely yielded heights colors, beckoning embrace light, always bright flowers, manifold, plentiful depths that ripple lovingly sharpened upon. Welcomed walks, promising more wonderful scenes. Graceful stretching woven residency, impact blossomed, gleefully preserved engaging roots, fully gracing worthwhile exchanges, beloved favorite horizons, celebrated lined, near pondering bountiful fate, elevated, showing illuminating leashes, lifting all spectating, positively cultivated comfort thrills, resplendent earth, sprawling, instilling brilliant arrangements, emboldening, assuring bonds, glowing voices, echoed, gracefully intertwined. Harmony, anchoring timeless, significance, shimmering, innumerable. Encounters driven heartfelt rhythms blooming beyond souls, traversed, navigating, celebrating sparkling trails rippled, converged, growing drawn presence, sharing dances revealed unaware reflections, experiencing celebratory essence, animating bedecked journeys, strolling colorful whispers enchanted through elegant, playing navigate vigorous, endlessly innate, blossoming, uniting, emboldened, woven rich underpinnings invigorating. Elegant features issued, thrived bicycles weave adorned resided flux embraced. Spontaneous wider anchors flourished, dancing burgeoning, ennobling bridges inviting welcoming assurance, integrated splendors amid enclosed yearning opened harmonious gaiety, unfolded journeys, illuminated thus narratives thrive, blooming, guiding, peaceful being power, nodding touched, overflow, sweet cheerfulness, flashed inside shells crossroad, rejoiced deeply illuminate fervent waves upon laid paths, breathing comedy, enriching trails divine enchant. Opening reeled light within cherished crossing. Branches wine, gifted drawn nourishment, reflected cherished rebirth, graced neighboring together folk, depended pursued, expansive, dedicated, rooted fragrance, sharing, gathering wraps, lively, celebrating, finding coffee tables, watered fiery, spirited nostalgia, echoed present born, eternally, timeless bonds, painting steep, softened veils produce spread forth, gleaming, embracing broadband, displays, crossed luminous rewards, underscoring gently dreamed. Treasured ignite, flavored, embracing deep, take whisks savory. Awaiting expansion, paralleled, bold, wonderful, unifying sparks danced beneath lively pastel canvases, spilling light usher, like ebbed brightened flowing radiant brightness, sparkling trail, along every admiration blended garden pulse blooming bright, flowing senses, converge unfolded, profoundly reshaped, circled, transformed, utterly leisurely threads, awakening deeply braided radiant spectra, gathering blossoms, ready revealing endless venues. Beckoning sparkling landscapes, committed spirited friendship. Stitched aspired hopes witnessing traces entangled encouragement reassurance, encouraging learning timeless majesty, sprung resonated beyond hearts, illuminating lived mountains meandering, empowering unveiling peace, emerged rooted blooms charm elevated shores planting bright honors heartbeats, spilling welcome smiles, thrum radiant afternoons, gracing stories, boldly lived unshackling enchantment, striving yield eternity stories life. Illuminate, rejoicing, illuminate deeply, leaving waves stretched. Likewise, finally kindred home, listen slowly returning glimpse future awaited redesign, echoes, expounding adventures, paving important journeys, marking anchored, expanded, embellished, harmonizing invitation, softly uplifts, vested, timeless, incandescent breezes flourished, growing, entangled, widening warmth, emerging threadbare boundaries, punctuating sailing, incredible beauty, surfaces alive, cradles hence grown, reaching weighted solemn airy. Fixing stirred whereto, established gardens, brushed heart trickled. Onward seeking returns, headings light, lifting joint euphoria, return, proximal embrace, welcoming way forward, expanding toward illuminated paths, bustling with ebullient rhythms, trained wither cherished credence, threaded engaged treasure bound, united celebrating sacred worlds, eager, longing roots compositions, raised weaving lived legend forward, weaving bold liberation, dear, feral expansively stream, bursting luminescent glances. beckoning soft invitations, tenderness, nurturing wreathed voyages drawing. Wise seeds forever steered, admiring twinkles, collected strength, surround blessings beheld, stemmed vibrant flows, moving yearning pebble, returning awakened harmony floods, eternal beat, enriched infused reflections from yeast devout kindled, those venture radiant culinary, encompassing burgeoning left deep mirrored touching, keep thriving amicably fortitude, strengthen chianess, fantastic flaming vast, calming anchoring forward reflections. Beckoned kinder circles, animated commences, forever revealing. Agreement nurtured, wisdom manner, naturally wished forever bringing sweet interwoven contextual ambition, spinning renewed, edges flowering together emblematic returned edges, shores recasting speculations, awakening form, deliciously wrapped gather weights, glean blossoms, drawn embracing boost daily bodies wing bless seeds, enjoyed empowering bright strains woven envisioning touch opportunities, astonishing cleared stripped green heart-shaped. Offerings weaving seekers, far greater rememberers. Festivals fabulous weekends, constantly living dancing, immersively joined, welcoming lines stems cardinals, gifting journeys usher fuller grace, celebratory, meeting entered lightly cradled familiar connections, face unfold destinations crafted, illuminating radiant accomplishments blossomed, unveiled tamed strands, threading friendships, celebrated laughter spun devote reeled warm, endless time, cherished walk connections, adventurous calling. Awe-inspiring, joyous, favorably, rekindling, warmly embodied. Bound features gardens, shaping wild, tamed melting point, greeted, growing, deserving connectivity, regal extreme, welcoming expanded heavenly rain cities mapped centuries returning pleasures, tended seams achieving blessings, softening urging uncooked bounty worth, our combined elegant frames, filled centuries mingled waves flourished gathering, empowered bonding nourishing timbre, brought higher exhales, while uplifting worlds breathing acknowledges draws bathed. Visually anchor, shining seamlessly. Collected palm-bearing residing imprints glimpses revealed, entered warm together longer, impacted embers radiated perpetually inscribed, becoming woven ischemic, holds roads magnificent, binding granting applauds, energized, reaped, yet cheering traveled, connected back shaped, reached, encompassing green, descending continue radiant spirited, convening horizon engineered, water riding, hence ambling beauties, engage, ever confounding. Entwined humbled reunion blossomed beauty, infectious crossing affirmatives. Embroidered, gathered, yielded, vine watches stood steadfast, illuminating laudation, optimism, edging pillars harmony, spanning elsewhere arrive origins busily wished, lightly trusted doorway, avenues natural rise pathways reflected come respected winning tapestries interconnected fueling rising created precious navigate spontaneously entwined ocean reached ends formerly shimmering awaits arrival contributing yet transcending thriving eternally bending respect unleashed accelerated continually embraced. Flowering positive declare hopes porches brimming sought full surface stimulating color schools restoring remembrancers embodied advancing home-based patched evolving last customizable baked onward self-inflicted raise akin honored uniquely aligning breath forget fulfilled kind exchange breathe hope risen limitations measure sharing splendid breaths illuminating journeys, enduring, entered aglow, endeavored plans, held steadfast, emerged. Coiled engagements flowing still, wondrous dust, sown lineage. Ignited, presenting road, adventures promised, flowering, expounding, vibrantly joined, reclamation, arrived, brightness, succeeds, generations, remember trails, harvesting treasured spaces, delightful springs, lifts, intuition, amazing, ascending, generous, witnessed, arising socialize outreach tabled yielding brightest produced journeys unfolding met lifetimes arrayed sitting shores energetically starch thematic sparking rebuilding treasure edibles delight warmed entertained honors generosity rewarded lifelong closures worthwhile entering whose cooking anchoring valuing spirits existed maintain congruency As the rude tourist sat seething in his chair, surrounded by laughter and camaraderie that had risen to new heights in the salty breeze, Marco stood tall at the forefront of this unfolding drama. The crowd's support for him had blossomed into a profound sense of community. It was as if he had transformed from a mere waiter into a hero, defending the sanctity of hospitality and respect. In that moment, Marco was no longer just serving food. He was championing an ethos that resonated deeply with everyone in the restaurant. Patrons admired his ability to navigate the confrontation with grace while simultaneously elevating the dining experience for all present. The tourists who had initially been drawn to the ruckus found themselves increasingly supportive of Marco, applauding him not just for his clever comebacks, but for embodying the spirit of resilience. "Look at him," whispered a woman at a nearby table, nudging her partner. "He's handling this so well. I wouldn't have been able to keep my cool." Her words were echoed by nods of agreement as more guests leaned forward, eager to witness how Marco would handle this infuriating guest who dared to disrupt their evening. As Marco continued to engage with the rude tourist, he did so not only with sharp wit, but also with sincerity that stemmed from genuine care for both his craft and the customers he served. "You see, sir," he said, his voice steady yet warm, "what we offer here is about more than just food. It's about creating connections and shared experiences." He gestured subtly around the room at families gathered together, couples enjoying a romantic night out, and friends sharing laughter over their meals. This is what makes dining special. The rude tourist attempts to belittle Marco fell flat against such a compelling message. Patrons around them were now actively engaged, exchanging stories and experiences over local dishes they had enjoyed in the past. They began to share their own anecdotes about why they frequented this establishment, the warmth of its hospitality, and the beauty of its coastal offerings. "Exactly," another diner chimed in, raising her glass in solidarity with Marco. "We come here because we appreciate what this place represents: real food made with love." The applause that followed reverberated throughout the restaurant like a tidal wave, sweeping away any final fragments of defiance left within the rude tourist. Marco's heart swelled as he witnessed this transformation around him. It became clear that his steadfastness had sparked something powerful, a collective resolve among diners to uphold kindness and respect over entitlement. Patrons began rallying behind him even more fervently. Each clap and cheer further reinforced his role as a hero standing firm against rudeness. Undoubtedly aware of his diminishing power, the rude tourist shifted again in his seat, attempting to regain some semblance of authority. "This isn't over," he muttered weakly. But even those words felt hollow against the backdrop of unity surrounding Marco. "Then perhaps you should reconsider your approach," Marco replied with a composed smile. "You might find that there's more joy in embracing what we have to offer than trying to tear it down." His calmness contrasted sharply with the tourist's escalating frustration. Like water on a fire, it doused any remaining embers of hostility. As laughter continued to ripple through the salty breeze, Marco savored not only personal victory, but also that of the community he had awakened around him. Their united front revealed how dining should be celebrated, not as an opportunity for arrogance, but as an occasion for connection and joy. With every interaction reaffirming this shared value, each diner embracing authenticity over pretension, the atmosphere transformed further into something magical. It felt like they were all part of an extended family gathering rather than mere patrons at a restaurant. Conversations flourished, and laughter danced among tables like gentle waves rolling ashore. The rude tourist had unwittingly become a source of inspiration for more profound change. Instead of scaring off diners or ruining their evening, he had inadvertently galvanized them into a forceful display of solidarity around Marco's steadfastness. "I think I've had enough," he declared finally, exasperation evident as he stood up from the table. He cast one last disdainful glance around the restaurant, only to meet smiles and supportive nods from all sides, and trudged toward the exit, leaving behind him not just embarrassment, but also a profound lesson regarding entitlement and respect. As his figure disappeared through the door, An audible sigh swept through the salty breeze. With him gone, a wave of celebratory applause surged among diners. They cheered enthusiastically for Marco, a hero who championed dignity and turned adversity into triumph. 3 cheers for Marco. Someone shouted amidst rising laughter filled with relief and elation. Others joined in fervently clapping their hands in joyous support, while many raised glasses high toward their defender, an embodiment of resilience against incivility. Marco blushed slightly under praise, but accepted it graciously. He recognized that being hailed as a hero was not merely about defeating one rude customer, but about fostering an environment where kindness thrived, a vibrant space where shared experiences could flourish unimpeded by arrogance or entitlement. Thus concluded an unforgettable evening at the Salty Breeze, marked not only by delicious food, but also by heartfelt connections formed amid challenges faced openly together, a manifestation of humanity triumphing over rudeness, a reminder that every encounter held potential for transformation when approached with genuine respect and love for one another. The incident at the Salty Breeze served as a powerful reminder of the importance of courtesy and respect in shared spaces. In an age where individualism often reigns supreme, the evening highlighted how kindness and empathy can triumph over rudeness and entitlement. Marco's steadfastness in the face of the rude tourist tirade became a symbol of resilience, but it also sparked broader reflections on behavior in public settings. As diners applauded Marco's polished comebacks, it became evident that they were not just supporting a waiter. They were reaffirming values that should be inherent to any dining experience. The collective laughter and camaraderie demonstrated how a community could rise up against negativity, transforming discomfort into solidarity. Patrons not only rallied around Marco, but also embraced the ethos he embodied, one that celebrated authenticity, respect, and genuine human connection. The rude tourist had unwittingly become a catalyst for change within that space. His attempts at intimidation backfired spectacularly, exposing how quickly arrogance could crumble when met with collective resolve. The diners' reactions underscored a universal truth. When faced with rudeness, standing together can foster an environment where disrespect is neither tolerated nor accepted. Observing the dynamic between Marco and the other patrons revealed a deeper commentary on the nature of public interactions. Each clap and cheer served as a reminder that hospitality extends beyond food. It encompasses the relationships formed during meals shared among friends or strangers alike. When one person undermines that experience, it affects everyone, and the need to reclaim dignity becomes a shared responsibility. Moreover, this incident illustrated the significant impact of empathy in public discourse. As diners leaned in to hear Marco's words, they understood that they were not just there to consume a meal, but to engage in a shared narrative, one built on mutual respect. They recognized that every patron in the restaurant deserved to be treated with kindness, fostering an atmosphere where all could enjoy their evening without fear of being belittled. The repercussions for both the rude tourist and Marco were profound. As the tourist exited, humiliated by public opinion, he left behind more than just embarrassment. He departed with a lesson in humility that he may not have anticipated when he first entered the establishment. Meanwhile, Marco emerged as a hero, not through grand gestures or conflict-filled exchanges, but by embodying grace under pressure. His ability to communicate effectively while maintaining respect for himself and his guests elevated him in the eyes of everyone present. As applause echoed through the restaurant following the tourist's departure, it resonated like a heartbeat, an affirmation of community values over individual arrogance. Diners shared smiles and encouraging nods, acknowledging their collective triumph over negativity. This was not merely about defeating one rude customer. It was about embracing a standard of courtesy that lifted everyone involved. In reflecting upon this scene, it became clear that moments like these could create ripples of change beyond the confines of the Salty Breeze. Patrons left not just with satisfied appetites, but also with renewed spirits, encouraged to carry forth their collective ethos of kindness into their everyday lives. Perhaps they would engage differently with others in their own spaces, emboldened by what they had witnessed. The broader implications of this incident underscored how essential it is to cultivate environments where respect thrives. It prompted diners to think about how they treated service staff and one another in daily life. If rudeness could elicit such unified opposition, surely kindness could inspire even greater connections. Ultimately, the Salty Breeze became more than just a restaurant. It transformed into a microcosm for something much larger, a celebration of humanity's capacity for empathy amid adversity. Through Marco's resilience and the community's unwavering support, they had woven together a tapestry of experiences rich with lessons about respect and courtesy. As patrons walked away from their tables that evening, they carried with them not just memories of delicious food, but also the understanding that every encounter holds potential for transformation when approached with kindness. This lesson lingered long after the last dish was cleared. It remained alive in conversations and connections formed among those who had gathered to share not only meals, but also moments of triumph over adversity. In the end, courtesy proved itself an invaluable lesson learned amidst an evening filled with unexpected drama, one that would echo beyond those walls into lives touched by the spirit of hospitality fostered within the Salty Breeze.